Crank.
I just realized that. I'm gonna start
Oh,
looking at it again.
okay. No, you're good. You're good. What was I saying? Fuck.
Let's just
What
go back to
was
the
that?
top.
Okay. Yo, what's good, everybody? It is Goofy Wise. I'm your host. What's good, y'all? It's Goofy Wise, and this is your show, Mindful Blerd. Welcome to Mindful Blerd, where we dive into fuck.
I got it. I'm gonna start.
Yeah, and okay, go ahead.
Yo, welcome to Mindful Blerd. I fucking forgot the thing. What's the line?
Yo, what's good? Welcome to Mindful Blerd, where we dive deep into anime, movies, and the politics of our world.
Yeah, and we also do that while kind of exploring mindfulness, mental health, physical, spiritual. It's all one thing, kind of health, and maybe a little wisdom sprinkled in. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, a little tiny weird wisdom. You know what I'm saying? I'm your political radical, Goofy Wise.
And I'm motivational speaker, probably saying some weird spiritual shit.
Yeah. Yes, God damn it. Together, we're Mindful Blerd, where our unique perspectives create a space for thoughtful, funny, and real conversations. Yeah.
Also,
All right.
if you don't know what blur means, it's black nerd put together. I don't know why you'd be here if you didn't know that, but like I feel like I gotta say that shit. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. We say it, nigga, because we gonna be out there. We putting Blerd on the map, nigga, even more so. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, today's topic, we are getting into very, very, very beautiful territory, as we have just seen a very big episode, or I'm sorry, a big manga release of JJK, Jujutsu Kaisen. And we thought, this might be a perfect opportunity for us to sneak in one of our favorite animes. I know Faux is really excited about this episode. I myself also really excited as well, and just to say what I think about the show, but also to hear Faux perspectives and where kind of our things overline. But yeah,
before we get into that, we got the quote of the week.
Yeah, quote of the week. I mean, we need to get a sound.
Had a sound for that, right? I said the shit like the sound was coming, didn't come, but it's gonna come. We might edit that shit in.
Yeah, we gonna get it right. We gonna get it right. So today's quote of the week was from one of my people I really look up to. It just sounds so weird to say like people I look up to, because it's like nigga, he's one of the smartest people ever to exist. But this is from Albert Einstein, and the quote is the ability. Hold on, let me pull it up. Make sure I say it right. God damn it.
No trouble if we fuck
the measure of intelligence. He be doing math and shit. The measure of intelligence is the ability to change. Yeah. When I first saw that shit hit me like a slap in the face. What are your thoughts on that, Faux, before I get into it?
Before you get into it, man, like the first thing that kind of comes up. The first thing that kind of comes up for me, is sort of what happens when you embrace change.
Yeah,
is you aren't really. I mean, this is. I'm literally describing change. When you're not stuck in a particular like mode of being, I think it sort of opens the world up from the sort of myopia of your attention. So I think a lot of the time, I know I get really stressed out like with decision fatigue, shit like that, and trying to figure things out. And so I'm like, yo, I just want to make sure I'm making the right decision. Am I making the right decision? And it's usually when I like open up to the fact that like there's really no right decision. The only thing that creates the problem is my inability to let go of my idea that is the right decision.
Damn.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because at no point is that sort of correct decision or correct thing gonna be correct all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, it's always in a state of change. And so when I open my
okay, your camera froze. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but it's good now. One more time.
So when we let go of like our attachment to doing something like one whole way, it just gives you a chance to constantly be ready to change, because life is constantly changing, right? So it even the best choice you make is only going to be the best choice for like a little bit until something else shows up, and you're always going to kind of have to deviate. And so for me, I feel like that's the heart of I mean, not just life, not just intelligence, but life, but specifically to that point, I think it opens you up to the options. right?
Mm,
Just being able to kind of bring your head up and go, "Oh, wait, it's not that you're finding better shit or you're smarter. It's just that because you're not so locked
yeah.
in, you're able to see the forest for the tree."
Whew. Damn.
You know what I mean?
I actually love that, man. I mean, man, you always surprise me with your takes, and like I just like when you think I think you're gonna take it somewhere, you take it somewhere else, and this is like it's dope. I think that's really powerful. You know, the continuous nature of change. When I thought of it, when I saw it initially, I think for me, I think it just hit a place of like I guess when growing up, getting really vulnerable here, I had a lot of dissociative patterns, where I would what that means looks like for people is like daydreaming, staring off into the distance, and
Okay.
initially a lot of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was like for me, it was like a huge trauma response because of how growing up in my household. So immediately the first thing they do to you when you in school and you're not paying attention to math class, nigga, they take you and they say, "Oh, he needs to go in a different class. He needs to go in a
Mhm.
special class." You know what I mean? So that's what I did for a long time, and I think that there was some like internalized trauma from the kids that would make fun of me and shit like that, and then all these kind of things. But now looking at where I am in life and where actively like seek out change and trying to be a better person. It's just I always look at myself as like a kind of like a lifelong learner. You know what I mean? I think when I read that quote initially, it was just like, wow, man, I am really smart, dude. You know what I mean? And it's like, fuck what anybody got to say about it, bro, because I mean, you can say a lot of things about me. I run my head into a wall a billion times, but nigga, I want to change and I will change. You know what I mean? That's something that's intrinsic to my nature. In part, I think because of growing up in trauma dump. We need a button for that trauma
Nah, you
dump.
good, you good, you good.
No, I think
Nah.
growing up in a narcissistic abuse household, it's a life with no change, with no solutions. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And I think now, like I because of that, I grew up without solutions or change. Now I must accept change. I seek out change so hard because like I need it
mhm,
now. I need it even more because I was not allowed that change in my life before. Not allowed that healthy functioning relationships in my life. You know what I mean? Where
mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like where
Yeah.
I actually look out like my girlfriend probably gets tired of me because I'm like always trying to change our dynamics or our relationship and trying to be a better boyfriend and like trying to have a better relationship functioning. You know what I mean? In some ways, that it can be bad because like I'm looking up self help all the time. You know what I mean? But other
Mhm.
ways, it's also been my superpower. You know what I mean? So like I think what comes next after change is acceptance. You know what I mean of the self. You know what I mean? But I think change is also a very important factor as well. You know what I mean?
Fuck. Yeah, I love that. I love the
Yeah.
self-acceptance. I love the change. Fuck yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
I've had a sort of an opposite response. I think
Oh, really?
because of having such a floaty kind of,
Yeah.
constantly changing dissociative childhood, I was,
Yeah.
I craved, like, solidity.
Yeah.
Um, but I really like, I would be kinda stuck in ruts because I just
Yeah.
was like, if I so many things are changing, can they just not for a second?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
and so, even
Yeah.
now, I have to be mindful of that, like, showing up
Yeah.
constantly. I'm just like, "Oh, man, you I know this is comfortable, man. We gotta move though." My
Yeah.
wife
Yeah.
is really good about being intentional about that shit, so I'm so grateful for her.
Yeah. Shout out to wifeys, man. Oh, they holding it down. God damn it. Love that.
Seriously, goat.
But without further ado,
Hell yeah.
dun dun dun. You know what time it is, baby. Oh fuck. It is JJK time, bro. So we want to get into obvious spoilers for those who are anime onlys. We're gonna be talking
Right,
about
but we
the
should we
anime.
should we should though, like, just do
Yeah.
as much anime only as possible,
Yes,
and
yes,
then
yes.
tack that on at the end probably, right?
Yeah. So should we not talk about the big thing that happened right away?
Not right away, right? We gotta
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
give
yeah.
the
Well, we'll say that later. That's probably a good plan. But I love JJK. I just want to start it there. I love JJK, and it's one of my favorite animes, probably top 10 for sure. On the further side of 10, but that's just because I have a lot of animes that I really enjoy and I love. But to me, what we're gonna do today, I'm gonna talk about my perspective of JJK, and then Fo's gonna talk about his perspective. So for me, I look at JJK and I see the story of Gojo Satoru, the revolutionary. You know what I mean? the man who started off as this fucking I see you smiling already. We're gonna have a good one, brother. We're gonna have a good one. Who started off, like just spoiled little brat in a way, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, through the death of his best friend, and we'll get into what happened with that. But he became a revolutionary and he sought to change the world around him. Keyword change, y'all. We bringing it back. Change the world around him. Go against the conservative establishment and make a new society that was going to be better for the world, and that also wouldn't create monsters like what happened to his best friend. You know what I mean? I look at JJK as a very meta anime. It talks about almost in a way, it's kind of like tackling the existential crisis of millennials and Gen Zs that we face today. You know what I mean? The feeling of trying to change a system when no one is actually trying to do anything about it, or it doesn't feel like they're trying to do anything about it. You know what I mean? So Gojo goes off after Geto dies, and Geto dies because he basically goes down the alt-right pipeline. You know what I mean? What happens when you have a system that doesn't have any answers? People start to find their own answers. And when you're surrounded by hate, literally, he was eating the embodiment of hate, the curses of humanity, terror. You know what I mean? He was literally ingesting these things. It can't get, in my eyes, it can't get more clearer. You know what I mean? He became a hateful person. You know what I mean? And it's in part because the Jujutsu Society, at its core, is unwilling to address the problems of curses in a meaningful way, other than just fighting off the symptoms. And that to me is a direct relation to what is happening in society now. You know what I mean? It's like we're not dealing with the real problem here. Capitalism, okay? Capitalism is the real problem. You know what I'm saying? We're dealing with the symptoms. Oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's make little changes, little reformist. You know what I mean? And I think that Gojo becomes radicalized after the death of his best friend, and he ultimately becomes a revolutionary, goes against the conservative establishment. Like I said, he literally says this verbatim. He's like, I'm trying to change the system. And what does he do to change the system? He seeks out a bunch of young kids, which is like a direct parallel to real life. It's like the youth is going to change the world. They have all the potential, all the new curses. You know what I'm saying? And they also have a lot of power, and they're not so concentrated within the major clans within the Jujutsu society already. You know what I mean? So like now he's becoming a teacher, like myself, to kind of radicalize motherfuckers and create a new world for himself. And I'll stop there just because I don't want to get to spoil territory in the anime. But I think that seeing him grow over time really inspired me a lot on my radical journey. And it made me really, 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 really happy to see this in media, because I think it really is taxing or talking about the woes of the current society. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna piggyback on what you said, because
Yeah.
I had a thing planned, but it's less cool. Yeah, so it's to your point, the sort of I think that's a really interesting meta macro
Yeah.
cosmic kind of scale
Yeah.
for that. I
Mhm.
think for me, another way to look at it is
Yeah.
so much of it is that same perspective from a microcosmic scale, in the sense
Yeah.
that sort of JJK is also kind of showing you how we are unable to deal with change just generally, right? We talked
Yeah.
about change earlier.
Yeah.
Um, if we even just look at just pulling apart hidden inventory, I think
Yeah.
kind of what you said, the sort of revolutionary aspect of JJK, what Gojo kind of represents, is the
Yeah.
revolutionary act to um, let go of the attachments to that we
Mm.
form in childhood, right?
Mm.
Because in childhood, in
Yeah.
hidden inventory, we form a lot of really deep psychological attachments. This
Yeah.
is who I am based on all these rigid structures,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm my mommy, daddy, whatever, all that shit.
Yeah.
And so what you see in specifically hidden inventory is these children kind of in their personas of who they think they're
Yeah.
supposed to be, like based on just kid shit that haven't
Yeah.
really been tested. And
Yeah.
so it's a very sort of rigid identity.
Yeah.
And it's really tight and kind of ego driven, because when you're a kid, you're just ego,
Yeah.
right? You're just all ego. Like
Yeah.
you're exactly who you think you
Power and
are.
control. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, power and
Yeah.
control. And so in hidden inventory, you see all of those characters kind of get tested. Gojo and Geto and like all of them, and specifically Rico Amanai are having to let go of the sort of sure footing of childhood and
Mm,
step off into the unknown. Like
yeah.
there's a sort of continuous sequence in hidden inventory of Rico trying to like go into the ocean.
Yeah.
Like you see it and she's like doing like she's in
Yeah.
the aquarium and she's in the ocean.
Yeah.
And at least for me, it really kind of hits home that sort of metaphor of um, you know, the ocean is like life. It's constantly in a state of flux. It's constantly
Yeah.
changing. It's unknown. But childhood is
Mm,
like that aquarium. Childhood is like taking
mm,
that whole ocean and putting it in a box and saying, okay, I know what life is. I know exactly who I am.
mm.
I'm Satsuru Gojo and I'm the strongest. I'm Ghetto and I'm the strongest. And also Ghetto's issue is that like people like Ghetto is so energetically, right? Gojo
Yeah.
represents the sort of inclusive energy, this
Yeah.
divinely inclusive energy.
Yeah.
Ghetto's separate. Ghetto
Yeah.
separates everything. And so in the beginning, I mean, even Ghetto, he was so certain that he was, the JJK are supposed to protect the weak people, right? The strong
Yeah.
protect the weak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was his identity. He was locked into that. And Gojo's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter because Gojo's like, I can see everything. Honestly, it really doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking cares. And so you see this sort of that's what you do when you're a kid. You're like, that's
Yeah.
the direct one-to-one of their perception. And so you see that get tested over the course of the entire that
Yeah.
arc of them having to let that go. Even Rico,
Yeah.
having to let go of being the what's the fucking scene where she jumps up and she's like, uh Tengen somehow is the same as me and I am the same as Tengen, and she does that
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
shit. And
Yeah.
like they're like, man, you must have had no friends, but like that's the same thing, right? That's that
Yeah.
same sort of rigid idea. I promise I'm gonna get back to the thing you were talking about.
No, no,
But
no. You're good. You're good. Keep going. I'm listening, and it's awesome.
so so much of navigating that childhood is really just them letting go of all those things. And so in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
what's his name?
Ghetto.
Toji.
Oh,
Uh
told you. Yeah.
Toji sort of represents that sort of life coming in and
Mm,
being like
and
ultimate, like he's ultra ego. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like he's all separation, all hierarchy because he has a heavenly restriction, right? So he
Yeah.
is
Mm,
completely locked into things being separate from everything, and that's how
yeah.
he gets on. He doesn't see curses, any of that shit. And so
Yeah.
what he is a sort of foil to all of these moments because that's what happens in life, right? So Toji
Mm,
comes in as this sort of barrel of
yeah.
um uncertainty and you know essentially life being like fuck you, I don't care, which is
Yeah.
what happens to kids, right? We all get into this point in our lives where we get met by something that's like, oh man, like this was really challenging, who the fuck I thought I was.
Yeah.
And you only have two options,
Yeah.
north or south. You either die or you stay the same,
Yeah.
right? You die and you pretty much rehash the thing. And we saw
Yeah.
um Gojo literally
Literally die.
died, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like for the first time
Yeah.
ever, his self-identity as the strongest, where he was constantly fighting. Uh,
Yeah.
and my favorite thing to say is that the line "I stopped counterattacking" because he gets stabbed in the head when he's explaining the
Yeah.
CT reverse curse technique to Toji. He's like, "I stopped counterattacking and I focused all my attention on RCT."
Woo.
But that's like that's the first time he did that. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? When was he not all the way
Yeah.
go all the time? And
Yeah.
so like him stopping, and which is what life does, right? Life is like,
Yeah.
fuck you. You got to
Yeah.
stop. And so he loses his self identity. Ghetto
Yeah.
doesn't lose his self identity because Ghetto doesn't actually die.
Yeah.
And we know Rico died, but like she died right as she chose to live, right as she was like, you know what? Who I
Mm.
was as a kid, who I'm supposed to be, this thing. I don't want to be the Star Plasma vessel. She's like, I want to live. I want to go into the ocean. And like right
Yeah.
as she has that like vision, pop. And so
Damn.
much of like for me at
Damn.
least.
You just opened up so much in my mind, bro. That like it just gave me a whole other way to look at this show. And it's like, it's beautiful, bro. It's honestly fucking beautiful. And like I haven't watched it in a while, and like reliving it through your storytelling, I'm seeing it in my mind right now. And it's like, bro, that makes so much fucking sense, bro. Like in the beginning, Gojo didn't even know how to use his red technique all the
No,
way. You know what I mean?
no.
And it took him that life, Toji coming at him literally to make him like, oh, reverse curse technique. And this is
Mhm.
ultimately what springs on him being able to do red and then do purple. You know what I mean? And like
Mhm.
this awakening, I am the honored one. You know what I mean? Of of the self came after life fucked him up and he literally died. His belief system died. Are you the strongest because you're Satoru or Gojo? Or are you Gojo Satoru because you're the strongest? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we know the answer in the manga, but whatever.
Yeah. We'll move on. We won't spoil. But no, I think that's beautiful. And also like the I don't want to say mirroring, but the like just the way that Toji kind of or Rika, Ghetto, Gojo got to be rebirthed. Rika was going to be born in a way, but she got killed immediately. Life happened. Shit don't always go your way. And Ghetto, it just shows you Ghetto. It's like 3 different lessons in one. You know what I mean? And Ghetto just never got to reborn. You know what I mean? And what happened? He just fucking went into the fucking darkness. You know what I mean?
Well, he doubled and tripled down. And I do want to push back on this because I don't think actually, I don't want to go here because I want to take it back to the original thing that we were talking about.
Go ahead. We'll come back.
The thing you said was so good. But yeah, Ghetto also, like, right, he didn't die. So he just becomes a more hardline version of what he always was.
Yeah.
Right. If you could really draw the parallel from like Ghetto all the way through to Kenjaku and like young Ghetto to old Ghetto, like to Kenjaku, that's all the same mindset. That's all hierarchy, separation. We're at the top, they're at the bottom type shit, which is also kind of what Sukuna represents. But he's always been that.
Wait. Can I just say this? So you're saying Geto in the beginning, when he was on his moral high ground of like, we're the strong ones, we must save the weak. That in and of itself was this hierarchical mindset that ultimately led him to the point where he was like going to be like downhill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's always had that mindset, even though in the beginning it appeared as though that was the good thing to say. You know what I mean? Like at face value, you'd be thinking, like, yeah, he's trying to protect people. This is a typical shonen protect kind of thing. You know what I mean? And Gojo was kind of like the opposite. And over time, we got to see the parallel of them, but also them switch sides in a way. You know what I mean? But I think I never looked at it that way though. I didn't really like when I saw his initial thing. I didn't analyze it that way. It was more so like for me as like kind of like the broken hero kind of thing. But in actuality, his thinking never changed. It just evolved. Took his natural evolving.
It literally just went to the opposite polarity. Right?
Yeah.
It's like it's the sort of inevitability of what happens when, and this is back to your point, is it's the inevitability of what happens when we don't consider inclusion, right? When it's about inclusion of everything, right? Gojo, literally, the energy of Gojo is absolute universal inclusiveness, right? His 6 eyes gives him access to the entirety of, like, his perception is the whole fucking universe all the fucking time. His inner perception is infinity. Like, I know I'm infinity, which is how he can project an infinity outside. And so infinity is the inclusion of everything. And so so much of what growing up is this sort of trial by fire of going from the known realm of childhood to the unknown realm of adulthood. And for my money, that's the microcosmic problem of America, is that as a society, right, when we look at something like capitalism, that's just a mirror of like the nature of Kenjaku, right? You couldn't say capitalism is hierarchical, right? It's always about accumulation. He's like accumulating curses. He's accumulating shit constantly. Like, it's not necessarily like problematic unto itself. It's just that when it becomes so imbalanced, when there is no Gojo to balance that Ghetto, when it's just hierarchy and separation, we're fucked, right? Like that's the and individualization, right? When it's all about the pieces and we forget about the whole, that fucks us up. And so I think that's the problem with America. I think that's the thing, because the sort of one ring to rule them all, right? For me is our inability to deal with our identities, our egos. We don't really have a means of navigating that psychologically anymore as a society. And so I think a lot of the time, so that's just going to mirror all of the problems, all the isms, all the ists, all the bullshit is just a mirror of the sort of psychopathic, childish, like, I'm different. Those people aren't me over there. They're just black or gay or dumb or Republican or whatever. You know what I mean?
No,
it's also hierarchical. I'm at the top of the hierarchy, or somebody over there is at the top of the hierarchy.
100%. Wow. that's a really great perspective, and I kind of pieced it together in sort of that way, but also not as in the way that you did it. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting to hear your thoughts on it, especially comparing like Kenjaku to like the idea of capitalism. You know what I mean? This
Mhm,
accumulation, these mindsets of like hierarchical thinking, and also pairing Kenjaku to Geto as almost a continuation of his self. You know what I mean? And like
mhm,
how because of that, you know what I mean? I guess you could almost say that, Kenjaku like carried on Geto's own vision in a way. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And this is like the complete loss of self. Like Ghetto lost everything. He lost his body. You know what I mean? His body
mhm.
is being exploited for this ideal now. You know what I mean? And to
Ooh,
me, like, and that's like when you think about capitalism, that's literally what it is. You know what I mean? He's
man.
given everything has evolved from his thinking so much so that he even lost his body and his soul it remains because we know it remains because when Ghetto or Gojo called out to his boyfriend, he was like, Ghetto, you in there? I think a handshake
Yo,
tried to
that
choke
was
him out. You know what I mean? And so
that's
like for
so
me, it's
cold.
like, damn, this nigga is really being exploited and he has no choice for this either.
Wow,
You know what I
because that
mean?
the
So
system hits back, bro.
you
Like
said
that, you're
what?
exactly right. The system hits back, like, the
Yeah,
shit it's the inevitability of that shit.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah,
No, man, yeah, it's there's so many the repercussions of that, I think, are
yeah,
very, very insane. But to the other point, I think going the other way, going
yeah,
north, I think is when we learn to start to kind of work with ourselves,
yeah,
work with our identities, being like you said, open to change, being
yeah,
loose with it, right?
yeah.
Being when you don't hold on to your sort of self identity so tight, I think a
Mm,
lot of the time I mean, that so much of what triggers us on a daily basis is just
yeah,
our self-identity, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that I'm this kind of a person, and
yeah,
somebody says, "No, you're not," and you're like, "Motherfucker, I definitely am." I like,
yeah, yeah.
and that reaction happens because we're identified with that thing, right?
Mm,
When you I'm definitely someone who people don't talk to like that. I'm definitely
yeah,
somebody who people don't pull out in traffic. People don't do
yeah,
these things to me, right? Um, when something antithetical to that shows up and there's not like sufficient mindful space between us and that identity, we just
yeah,
ride the trigger as we're fucking triggered.
yeah,
And you know what I mean? And
yeah,
so much of what JJK in that second season, specifically that awakening points to, is letting go of that identity, right?
yeah.
Um,
Wow.
Unfortunately, life usually does it. Usually we got to get
Yeah.
stabbed in the fucking head, which is,
Literally.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like usually it
yeah.
takes that before we like
Hey,
let go.
can I just say, Toji whooped them niggas' ass?
Man, God
Mink, Gojo,
dang.
Ghetto. I ain't even gonna kill you, Ghetto. I don't want to deal with your extra spirits, nigga. But disrespectfully, you know
So
what I mean?
cold,
Yeah.
so
That nigga was
cold.
really life. He's the definition of life is life. And you know what I
For
mean?
real though.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But
he's yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but
No, I know
I
you didn't.
think I think you really got into this point of like identity, and it's like it makes me think of like kind of like how a core tenet of capitalism is to use identity against people. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And these I mean, I don't like saying the word identity politics because
mhm,
I mean, obviously, race and different identities have real implications today, but
yeah,
it can be used as a tool to divide us. You know what I mean? Because the working
mhm,
class will never come together if people are divided upon their identities. You know what I'm saying? And like since the Bacon Rebellion, which is like the first rebellion where we saw white people and black people come together, white indentured servers and slavers come together to overthrow capitalism, their landlords. Oh, ever since then they've been pushing division. Oh, racism hard. Oh, black men are going to do this to your wives. Black men are going to do this.
mhm,
They're monsters. You know what I'm saying? And this ultimately made white people identify more with whiteness than they did with the class of being connected to black people and all marginalized people. And so when you talk about identity in this way, I think for me it just really hit home. And it's like we kind of have to, because a lot of what things left to say, we kind of have to move past identity. You know what I mean?
mhm,
We have to move into inclusion because this is
mhm.
where the power is ultimately. You know what I mean? And I think this kind of ties back into Gojo's overall thing. He's trying to unite the entire youth to create a new world. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's like for me, it's just like, oh my God, this is a beautiful, beautiful story. And like, and your perspective on this is adding even more richness to the story itself. You know what I mean?
Bro, what the
Yeah,
fuck did you just say? Inclusion? Like,
yeah,
yeah, it really does. Like, the identity politics thing is such a real thing because I
yeah,
mean, I think we're if I'm not attached to what I think your identity is,
yeah,
whatever that is, like if I just am, let's say in this moment, kind of mindful, I'm
yeah,
present, I'm just taking you in.
yeah,
I all every time a thought pops up about like, I know what this motherfucker, just
yeah,
I let
yeah,
that happen. I let that happen.
yeah,
Like, if you sit with that, like, there's a sort of merging
mhm,
of just like life starts to illuminate because the attention, the presence has become more one pointed.
yeah,
And so for me, like, I think that's a perfect sort of fucking, I don't know, advertisement for how to begin to start to navigate identity politics,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is um, not just looking outside, but also kind of turning inward and
yeah,
beginning to kind of deal with our own shit
yeah,
enough for us to actually be present with somebody and see them beyond like
yeah,
the filters that I got that I picked up from all everybody's fucking bullshit. My
yeah,
mama,
yeah,
my daddy, TV and shit. It's like, oh, who
yeah,
are you?
yeah,
Like, and I think it's really challenging because
for sure.
you just, man, you don't. I don't know, man. You don't. Our identities are so like worn in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, hell yeah. It's baked into the system, and it's almost like to the point now where it's like where identity, we'll say for races, for example, is like it's a way to preserve and protect ourselves now. You know what I mean? As Black
Mhm,
people, we feel like we cling to this ideal because that under racism, if we don't talk about it, you know what I mean, it will lead to more oppression. You know what I mean? If we don't
mhm,
actively try to change things upon racial lines, it will make us easier to exploit by capitalists. You know what I mean?
mhm,
But I do want to also say that at the end of the day, race is a social construct. You know what I mean? These things aren't.
mhm,
This was invented. You know what I mean? So although we should fight along racial lines for as long as we are oppressed upon racial lines, but understanding that also we have more in common with human beings than we have differences with. You know what I mean? And I think that is almost lost in today's age. You know what I mean? It's almost
yo,
lost because it's purposely lost. It's manufactured to be lost. You know what I mean? Because it does not benefit us, to come together, or it doesn't benefit the capitalists for us to come together. So they divide, 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 divide. That's why so much of the 24-hour news cycle is so much division all the time. You know what I mean? And we
mhm,
need more inclusion of the things that we actually agree upon. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot more of us that actually agree upon that, but we don't have the range to media, mass
mhm.
media. But and certainly capitalists are not going to give us the power tools to their own destruction. You know what I mean? But yeah, yeah, yeah,
To your point, inclusion, I think that
yeah,
is the schism that ends up wrecking our current sort of timeline of Jujutsu High is the fact that Gojo and Geto couldn't like find a common ground.
yeah,
But what you were just saying is the sort of what I heard was the sort of inflexibility of our egos, the inability
yeah,
to hold on to the sort of necessity of like
yeah,
black, right?
yeah, yeah,
I gotta know, hey man, there are
yeah,
some places I go, I gotta know I'm black.
yeah, for
That's a
sure.
problem. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? A
it's a
lot of places,
survival mechanism. You got to know
I
you
gotta,
black when yeah,
you know what I mean? But
yeah,
at the same time, if I'm holding on to that too tight, I'm in trouble, right?
yeah,
And so what that is just a flexibility. Like we talked
yeah,
about earlier, it's
mm,
not that I'm picking the right side, it's that I'm not attached to which side to any side being correct,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
know what it means to be. I think so much of what we see online and
yeah,
everywhere is just this polarization of
yeah,
attaching to either it's literally just two sides, right?
yeah,
Inclusion or exclusion. Like
yeah,
inclusion or exclusion. That's it. And so we kind of oscillate and say, oh, well, you got to be this. This is we're all one and we're all da, 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 da. Okay, but like I got to know that I'm this and this is the most important thing. When that's literally just Ghetto and Gojo going back and forth,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right? Gojo's like,
yeah,
it's all one thing, guys. I can't. I
yeah,
Also, you'll notice one side is based, well, they're both based in control, but
Yeah.
the essence of an exclusionary thing is also control. And so
Yeah.
what Ghetto is doing is capitalism, everything, what it's doing is control, right?
Yeah.
It's all about how much can I control and how much can I manipulate.
Yeah.
When Ghetto's or Gojo's um entire awakening was about embracing the lack of control. I
Yeah.
can't control how these kids are going to show up. I can't control what they're going to do. All I can do is sit here and be as great as I can for them and just help
Yeah.
them as much as I fucking can. Go,
Yeah.
I don't know what this is going to do for the Jujutsu Society. And so what you see, especially kind of in the manga a little bit later, you see Gojo moving a little closer to Ghetto and
Yeah.
Ghetto, you know what I'm saying? Like you see that sort of merger of saying, yo,
Yes.
we got to figure out how to make both of these things happen because the problem
Yeah.
wasn't that either of them was on a particular side. The problem was the attachment to the idea that their side was the right
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. Can we get into spoilers territory now?
Let's
Because
do it. Let's do it.
all right, spoiler, manga spoilers. I think
All right.
that what you just said about where Geto or Gojo had to come to more ghetto side to
Mhm.
understand the fullness of like what it means to like change and or whatever, the kind of merger in a sense. I think that was kind of symbolic in the way that Gojo allowed for his body to be have the same thing done to him as Kanjako did to him. You feel me? And like for me, this is the lead back is killing me. You know, for me at this moment, you know what I mean, where got obviously Yuta hops into Gojo's body, right? At this moment, Gojo there's a panel when he talks about it, he's like, this is something that must be done. I look at this as like him becoming a true revolutionary because you in order to beat the system, you have to be willing to use the system's tools against it. You know what I mean? You have to be
Yeah.
able to stoop as low as they are able to stoop. As horrible as that might be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is sometimes the cost of revolution. You know what I'm saying? And I think for that in that moment, like I was just stuck in awe, and I was like, damn, Gege is really in his bag. This nigga be writing,
Mhm.
bro. Because the way he
Mhm.
had them do the same thing, bro, and it's like, oh,
Giant,
he's come all full circle. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I love that idea. I
Yeah,
it makes me think of the sort of personal revolution that
yeah,
we have to have as well.
yeah,
Just because I think part of what holds that sort of childhood identity in place
yeah,
is um the moral high ground.
yeah,
Right? This idea that I've chosen the correct moral path. I'm the good guy. I know
yeah,
for a fact that I'm the good guy. And
yeah,
I think um eventually
yeah.
adulthood teaches all of us that we are not always the good guy. And in fact, there's no way
100%.
to actually know if I am the fucking good guy, and I will be the good guy or the bad guy to somebody else
Yeah,
at some point. And I think what you see, especially with Yuji,
yeah,
in especially in the journey in season 2, was going from I know I'm doing it, I kill these curses, and
yeah.
his worldview gets challenged. Is like, how do you know you're on the right side? Do you even count
Mm.
the curses you killed? Like, do you even think about that?
Woo!
Like, do you fucking
Yeah.
care? Do you know what that is? Like, you don't know the ramifications of any of this shit. And you see him go to, you're right, I'm just making a choice. I'm just making a choice. I'm doing the best I
Mm.
can. I'm you. I ain't no
Woo!
different. Like, which is rough.
That is so beautiful because that's all we can do sometimes is just try our best to make a choice. You know what I mean? Because the
Yeah.
parallels between him and Yuji and Mahito being both the cogs in the wheel for their different beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Some saying that Mahito could arguably be just like Yuji in the sense of like he's just doing what he does. This is what curses
Mhm.
do. You know what I mean? And this is what Jujutsu sources do. You know what I mean? He's just doing what he does. And I think that was a very good point, what you just said. I really like that, and I really think that I mean, I just love this. I love the show, man. I really do. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think the challenge there though, and I'm sure you
Yeah,
recognize, like, it almost can offer itself up to a sort of moral relativism.
yeah,
Like this idea, and I think that has unfortunately pervades most of
yeah,
politics nowadays,
yeah, yeah.
right? It
In what
pervades
way? In
most.
what way?
Um, well, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'll just go vote for this person. Like, it doesn't really matter if this person does
Mm,
this. It doesn't really, because we don't really have.
yeah.
I am not a Jordan Peterson fan.
Yeah, yeah.
I am
Thank
not
God.
not a Jordan Peterson fan, but
Yeah.
take the sugar, leave the salt kind of motherfucker. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But one of the bars that he did not mean this way, but I'm gonna use this way is
Yeah.
that he has is um the virtualization of, I think he said young men or whatever. The virtualization of the world essentially is breeding psychopaths.
Mm.
And so much of us not having a real tangible connection to the consequences of our ideologies has
Yeah.
bred a sort of virtual reality that we all live in. And so it's like, oh, it
Mm.
doesn't matter. Like, I'll vote for this person. Those people, they're not people, they're really a statistic, because
Yeah.
statistics are just things that I see. I live in a virtual reality, and people
Yeah.
we're not close enough to our consequences,
Mm.
to the point where it's just like, oh, it leads itself to this moral relativism. And my pushback on that is always like letting go of, it's easy for me to say communism and for people to go, oh, or
Yeah, yeah.
capitalism. People go, oh.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
much
yeah,
harder for me to sit here and go, when I say capitalism, what I mean is this and this, and
yeah,
this is a real world consequence, and this is a consequence, and this is a
yeah,
thing. And we're going to sit here, we're going to look at these things and how they affect people.
yeah,
Does that change your experience of what you think that thing is?
yeah,
If you're not attached to the label that we put in front of everything.
yeah,
And for me, that has become a much clearer path moving forward by just realizing that any sort of label that I put on anything is
yeah,
always going to be a fucking a jump starter. It's just going to
yeah,
jump me off, right? Like, I don't know who you are just based on things I know about in the past. I can get a whole documentary on you. I don't know you.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
so I feel like looking beyond that and seeing into the fact that, like, looking beyond concepts and treating people like people help
yeah,
me navigate that sort of almost morally relativistic space,
yeah.
because I can't hide behind what I think something is. I have to actually become curious.
Yeah, yeah, and I think as human nature, we want to put things into boxes so badly. You know what I mean? So it helps us navigate things easier, but like also human beings aren't boxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what people will believe that you think that are maybe support, Trump, for example. I don't support Trump, but like
Mhm,
some of the like people are not a monolith. You know what I mean? Just because they
mhm,
have one belief doesn't mean all their beliefs are going to fall in line with that one thing. Sometimes they're different, and we can find ways to connect to each other upon those different lines. I'm not saying, hey, go befriend someone that's going to put you in danger, but I'm saying like there are some things that you will always be able to connect with other humans on because we're all human. You know what I mean? And we have so
mhm,
much in common. And I think that in a way is our like superpower. You know what I mean? As human beings, is our ability to connect. I read a quote the other day. It was like it was a missing. People often misinterpret Darwin's survival of the fittest into thinking like, oh, it's all about just how strong you are. But also, like, one of his theories was, and I don't know how true this was, but it sounded nice, so I'm gonna just say it,
mhm,
and I'll fact check it later. But basically, one of his theories is that one of human beings' key survival mechanisms was empathy.
mm,
Even able to have empathy for one another, because if we have empathy for one another, we're willing to work together. And working together and being in groups was our biggest survival mechanism throughout all of history. So people like to say, "Oh, greed is human nature." Well, so is empathy, bro. So is
mhm,
working together. So is
mhm.
all these different things. You know what I mean?
Feminine, feminine,
Yeah. And I
feminine,
don't know how the fuck
feminine.
we got so far away from JJK, but we
Oh, we
here
back
now.
though. Hold on, wait, we back though. We back though because you literally
Yeah.
just described everything. Because
Yeah.
I was like a little worried because you said revolutionary. I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but it
Yeah.
also makes me think about like people recently being like, "We gotta have a revolution right now,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like I know you've been in that conversation with people. Like a
For
lot of
sure.
like community folks is like, "Nigga, you know how hard a revolution is?
Yeah.
Who? Nigga,
Yeah.
you know what we working with? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
stop."
And to that point, I just want to say really quick, I don't want to interrupt you. Mutual aid is revolutionary. Self-care is revolutionary. You know what I mean? I think class consciousness is revolutionary. Class
Yes.
solidarity is revolutionary. There are so many different steps. Like revolution, the last like two steps is forcible overthrow, but like
Mhm.
that is so far away. And obviously, the more organized we are, the less violence there will have to be. You know what I mean? So like I definitely give a lot of pushback to people like revolution now, revolution now. It's like, hold on, nigga. People who
Like,
gonna suffer right now are the people who are the most marginalized, the disabled, the people who are on the front lines, you know what I'm
mhm,
saying, which are disproportionately African Americans and POC, you know what I
mhm,
mean? So like we definitely got to take our time with it, but we also got to take revolutionary action, which is radicalizing your neighbors, becoming reading theory,
mhm.
being in community with people, so many different things. But yeah,
Well, you reminded me of, and this is still the manga spoiler bit, but
yeah,
the revolutionary aspect, or rather that sort of middle ground aspect, is
yeah.
Nobara and
Mm.
who's the woman? Who's the other one? It's
Maybe.
Gojo, Ghetto, and who's the doctor? I forgot her
Oh, I
name.
forgot her name. I forgot her name. I forgot her
Uh,
name.
uh,
Do you want
I
to look it
can't
up
do
really
this.
quick?
Yeah, I don't
Go
care.
ahead. Go ahead.
And Shoko,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jesus. And Shoko is kind of this sort of median, as well as so is Nobara. Nobara is the sort of nail that has like the like aspects of both of those things, and they're the kind of coming home point, right? I think
Mm,
um we talked about not being sort of attached and isolated to the thing that you think is the thing. The girls have been able, they're on the outside, right? They're
yeah,
seeing, they're able to see these things. And I think to that point, it's like I don't know if this is a coincidence. I know it's not a coincidence, but like there's so many women I follow who are just like, community is the move. Like,
yeah,
yo, like it's gotta be this is the revolutionary act, like taking care of this shit. I don't
yeah,
think it's a mistake that Gojo was like, I gotta take care of this community. I gotta make sure these kids aren't fuckheads. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Because this thing will
for
fuck them
sure.
up. I think there's something to be said about that. And like
Yeah,
how the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen is really just um coming together, right? It's
yeah,
always everybody, like the community, the whole, versus
yeah,
somebody who wants to be singular. That's
yeah,
gonna be the sort of end game, but actively going into our lives with that awareness and care to be like, I want to be a part. I want to open
yeah,
myself up to the community at large. Like you said, gives us power to do everything else. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You got juice when you grow your own fucking food.
yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah, yeah.
mean?
You're
Like,
doing
like
shit all your own. Yeah,
you're not, I'm like, I don't need those Pop Tarts, man. Sorry.
yeah.
Make them better.
Yeah, literally. Fuck Pop Tarts, god damn it. Red 40. No, let me stop. But no, I think that's a really good point. So just for clarification, you're basically saying that like when you said about women, talking about community, and I just want to shout out to black women right now. You know what I mean? Been holding down for generations, god damn it. I'm not the biggest Democratic fan, but black women have been holding down, trying to make community. They've been voting more 91% Democrat against Trump. You know what I mean?
Of
And I
course.
think I think there's something there is to be said about that. You know what I mean? It's just about, you know, how hyper masculine our society tends to be and hyper patriarchal. But I think there needs to be a balancing of I mean, I don't like to equate things to masculine and feminine, but like there needs to be a
No.
balancing of we're so hyper masculine patriarchal, like we
Yeah.
could use some more feminine ideals, you know what I mean? And when I say feminine, I mean involving women, you know what I mean, diversity of thought, you know what I mean,
Uh,
in order to create a better world for ourselves, you know what I mean?
yeah, I
Yeah,
totally agree. I know there's like we're kind of wading into challenging territory here, just because I
yeah,
know there's like there's an aspect of it, and
yeah.
of like black women being like, hey man, stop depending on us, which
No,
is like,
100%, 100%. We need
you
to
know what I'm
catch the
saying?
fuck up.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's
Which
an
is fucking
excellent point.
fair. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and I'm
nigga,
so glad you said that too because I don't never want it to be like, oh, leave it to black women. They gonna handle it. Nah, nigga,
nah,
fellas, step
yeah,
the fuck up, nigga. They've been doing it for too
no,
long, nigga. Why the fuck do so many black men support Trump, nigga? What is going on? We are.
yeah.
Come on, let's
I
stop.
I
Let's
like
bring
to
it back.
think.
Yeah,
No, I'm not gonna say that. I've got a thought though. No,
yeah,
and specifically to black men, I think also we're in a weird spot of like not having. I think that a lot of the time, mm, I just think it's important as black men to have conversations like this,
100%.
to
Yeah,
continue to explore, continue to be open and curious,
yeah,
because I think that there is a sort of I think there's a deep challenge with a broken system
Yeah.
that props us up, but also wants to kill us at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like it creates this sort of psychology where you're like, it's the system is telling you you're not shit, but being a man in the system also creates its own level of shit show silliness,
Yeah.
and its own sort of challenges. And I think that combined with a myriad of things, is part of why I think a lot of the time it can be really challenging to get shit across. But also to keep it a full stack, like
Yeah.
when I do have conversations with people, specifically black dudes who I talk to that are like
Yeah.
different, who have different ideas, like just talking to them, they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I ain't think about
Yeah.
that." You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
and large, like I think I don't know, maybe that's just I'm putting shit on my head, but like
Yeah.
it feels like there is an openness, and maybe that's just because I'm
Yeah.
black, but
Yeah.
like an openness and a curiosity. But at
Yeah.
the same time, man, if I see one more fucking 20-year-old on a podcast telling me about fucking high value shit, like man, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Oh my god, I'm a literally vomit,
You
bro.
see that
No,
Cam
but
Newton shit this week? No,
oh my god, I did see that Cam Newton shit. I got so much to say about it. Do we want to talk about that?
I don't care. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Fuck. Okay. Well, firstly, I want to end on your point
Okay.
and tie it back into the Cam Newton shit. Um, I want to say that what I think about as far as JJK in regards to this, and I know that motherfucking that Ghetto is obviously like a racist, you know what I mean? In his own way. You know what I mean? He's like, you
Yeah,
fucking monkeys. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I want to just
That's
say
a
that,
Buddhist thing, but go ahead, keep going.
yeah, yeah. I also want to say that like that I just feel like when we go to the like when we are left with a system that is broken and we are also isolated because in a way when Gojo elevated, Geto was isolated, you know what I mean? He felt
Yeah.
alone. It was them two the most strong. And then he cleared them. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
cleared them and then like now all he's left with is his isolation and a system that will ultimately not change. It makes people have the craziest fucking thoughts. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think to our black men who may, you know, obviously black people are not a monolith. I don't expect us to be, you know what I mean? But there's some crazy things that black men believe as far as these podcasts and
Mm.
all this shit. You know what I'm saying? I think it comes from the isolation and also the neglect of young men growing up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like we literally neglect young boys and we make that, you know, a practice and our boys are easier. No, you're just
Mhm.
neglecting them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're just telling them not to feel. Don't cry like a girl. Follow up your feelings. And this is destructive to us. And then we get niggas like Cam Newton hopping on podcasts, nigga, and telling you that women arguing with women, by the way, that women only want high value women, and that their love is, and they will never, men will never experience true love because love for them for to women is only transactional. But that's only
Yeah.
because he himself has not allowed himself to feel deep love in a way, one, right, and be
Mhm.
vulnerable to it, but also he is surrounded by women who want him for his check, and he thinks that's the only thing because he hasn't developed his emotions. He's not high functioning in the way
And her
that,
point, yeah, that shit was cold. She
yeah,
said, "For
he's
real."
no, he's not high functioning, so he doesn't understand that like there's other things I can bring to the table. Like nigga, girls will date a broke nigga. I was broke when I
Mhm.
got with my girl, bro. I'm gonna keep it all bug
Mhm.
with you. But you know what
Mhm.
I did have,
Same.
nigga? Some emotional intelligence and the willingness to fucking try and grow and change, nigga. Bringing it back to the quarter of the week. You know what I'm saying? And then now I'm nigga. I help a lot with the emotional burden of our relationship. You know what I mean? The problems we
Mhm.
have in our relationship. I have something to offer, something to bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? God, I hate to say that. Ah,
Nah,
not the
but that's
table.
facts.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Not the table,
not the table. No, we
nigga.
can't do the table.
Next week goes on 50-50 in this motherfucker. I gotta go. I
No.
gotta go.
No.
Nah, but yeah,
Uh, yo, but that's facts. And also, I think the challenge is everybody in the relationship kind of being conditioned to think that those things don't matter.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
also back to the thing with Cam, I think when your identity is like ghetto, like
yeah,
when you think that it's all about hierarchy and
yeah,
separation, your entire existence is transactional. Which is to
yeah,
say, if you think that who you are is your past, like if I'm definitely my past,
yeah,
you have essentially created Like an example that I really love is that if you
Yeah.
think about who you are, like your past or whatever, we'll say your past, think of it as like a packet, like in your head. Because in your
Uh-huh.
head, you have to like think about it, right? Like
Yeah.
what happened when I was a kid? This thing. That's a thing. That's
Yeah.
something like separate and tangible. When or in your mind, right? But it only exists in your mind. It
Yeah.
doesn't exist experientially. And so
Yeah.
when this is all you are, your
Yeah.
entire existence is transactional.
Yeah.
So when who you are is just your thinking, which is
Yeah.
in a lot of ways what ghetto represents. When who
Mm.
you are, when only thing you know yourself to be is my past or my
Yeah.
body or my skin color or any
Yeah.
of those things, it creates a psychological limitation that makes
Yeah.
everything transactional. Your entire existence is
Mm.
transactional when who
Yeah.
you are is separate from everything. Because if I'm separate from everything, the only way I can get something is to give
Woo.
something back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
yeah. Yeah.
at the core, we're really also still looking at a sort of spiritual problem, like
No, 100%.
a
100%.
disconnect in identity. And I
Yeah.
think the issue, Cam, is like so much of the challenge. The sort of Bible quote is, it's harder for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle than for a
Yeah.
rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven.
Great
Um,
quote. Jesus would have been a communist. But
Jesus,
go
far,
ahead.
but like so much of what makes that person a rich person is an accumulation of identities, an
Yeah.
accumulation of shit. And so
Mm.
to go beyond your stuff is to let go of the attachment to all that stuff. And when you are in a society that tells you that you are a good person because
Yeah.
you've made money and gotten
Woo.
stuff, the letting go of that identity is so much fucking harder. If you ain't got
Yeah.
shit, you ain't just like, you ain't shit. I know. Cool. Get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah.
But if like, I mean, and look, not he ain't gonna see this, but like I Cam was a quarterback at my mom's high school.
Oh,
Like he was
wow.
in school, my brother was on the team with him. And so like
Wow.
I, I seen Cam like forever. Like just from
Wow.
afar.
So
I
that
seen
really
him
hit home,
just
huh?
yeah, like but like
Yeah.
he's the GOAT, man. He's fantastic. He's a
Yeah.
great dude. But like I think part of the challenge is when so much of who your existence is success, those are still tangible things
Yeah.
and identities, and it creates a sort of transactional mindset. And so you
Yeah.
saw that really be challenging for him, for Nick Cannon, for all of us
Yeah.
to let go of those things,
Yeah.
and try to um, recognize our own identities that can't be quantified. Because really,
Yeah.
you can't be quantified
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
at
We're
all.
trying we're trying to quantify us as like, oh, how high is your value, your sexual market value, like in
Mhm,
all these weird ass fucking terms. And it's like, it's it's only making it worse. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And it's like when you talk about like identity and like how when you're rich and you've been told that you're good because you're rich, people can't separate themselves for that because their identity is like tied
it's
in with it.
so
You know what I
tight.
mean? It's
Yeah,
baked in. You know what I mean? So for me to for anybody for her, Dr. Brian in that situation to try to talk up to Cam out of that, it's just like he would have to give up so much power in his mind, not real power, but like where he draws his power from. You know what I mean? And
mhm,
that will make you drop into the fucking a bottomless pit until you can find something else to cling on to. And me as a man, I've been there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I've thought that my value was associated with my wallet. You know what I mean? I've had this chip on my shoulder, and I'm just here to
mhm,
let you know, fellas, there's another way. There's another way. You don't have to be that kind of person, bro. You don't have to be the bad guy, bro. You don't.
yeah.
You can have experienced true love. You can have all these things. It just takes some emotional development, some practice. You know what I mean, etc.
Pause and taking a second. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think one of the craziest,
yeah,
like craziest, most powerful practices that I love is just
yeah,
the pause,
yeah,
just fucking pausing. Like my
yeah,
life has been saved so many times with just stopping while I was in the middle of doing something fucking dumb. Like
yeah,
just be like, hold on, wait.
yeah,
I don't even got to make a choice like this is the right thing or the wrong thing. Just stopping that sort of
yeah,
loop for just a few minutes, for a
yeah,
second, is a fucking, I mean, it's a
yeah.
revolutionary act for real.
No, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 and I think that when you stop and you are not when like one of the things men don't really do well, and it's not because of our own fault, it's not because of our fucking biology, it's because we're conditioned to not feel our feelings. And take
Mm,
that pause. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Usually when we have some kind of feeling, it's like bottle it all in and then take it out in sports. Oh, you got that
Mhm.
anger, take it out. You know what I'm saying? Do something with it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like also you cannot do that and you can just feel your feelings, bro. We just take a breath and just feel your feelings. I've been trying to practice this more often because even I have some tendencies to to run away from my emotions. You know what I mean? Or to go into loops. You know what I mean? But like I'm noticing like a lot of my dissociative tendencies tend to go away when I just stop and allow the feelings that I'm have to flow through me. You know what I mean? And just feel it. Feel the anxiety. Feel the pain. Allow your. It's a natural thing. But I think
I'm
we've kind
doing
of
it right
learned.
now.
Yeah, yeah. We've kind of learned not to do it. You know what I mean? We kind of learned not to do it, and it's like there's another way, fellas. Yeah,
Learning not to do it, as well as I think having such rigid, once again, identifications with your head. When who you think you are is your head, an
yeah,
emotion, like my
yeah,
identity with the experience and the emotion is so tight.
yeah,
It's like, I know what anger is. I know what, oh, this must be anxiety. I don't want that. Oh,
yeah,
this must be that thing. I don't want that. And
yeah,
it's almost the sort of recognition and categorization a lot of times for us
yeah.
that can create a barrier. And so
Mm,
I love that sort of, I was like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. It's
yeah.
like see five things, touch things. I don't know the whole thing, but like
Yeah,
that
it's great. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think
of
it's
really,
see five things, smell four things, touch three things, and something. Taste two things or some shit. It could be anything. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah, but it helps you be more present. Yeah,
It brings you back into the sort of moment, but also like I
yeah,
think you start to create space for just whatever that sensation is,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like when you're feeling that emotion, like whatever it is, when you go into that and just say, all right, like what is this? What is this?
yeah,
I know I'm about to lose my fucking mind, but what is this? Oh,
yeah, yeah.
that's
Creating that
that.
space for yourself. Yeah,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
that's oh, my chest is just tight. Okay,
yeah,
what else? I don't know. My heart's beating kind of fast. Okay, what else? I don't know. I'm a little sweaty. My palms are a little
yeah,
whatever. Okay, what else? What else is going on? Talk through it. I think a
yeah,
lot of the time that for me creates a lot of space to be able to go
yeah,
to loosen it off of that label and just go, oh yeah, these are just sensations. I
yeah.
can leave space for that too.
That's facts. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be able to create that space for yourself and be that kind of person that where you can be there for yourself. Like for so long, I wasn't there for myself, and I'm so used to kind of abandoning myself. You know what I mean, and my needs. Then when I start to do things like that and start to take care of myself in a more deep and meaningful way, I was just so grateful for the idea that somebody had my back, and it was me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I had my back, and it was like, and that
Mhm.
for me was like such a big, hard thing to do for so long. You know what I mean? Because I was so used to meeting other people's needs and not my own. You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
became an expert at meeting other people's needs, but I couldn't even I couldn't even tell me what was going on in my body, and what I feel. I was so used to just dissociating. So yeah, I think I think that's powerful and it's profound. Yeah,
Hell yeah, man.
yeah,
But not to get off topic, like to back to JJK.
yeah, yeah. Back to
How
we
did
had a
we
good talk
get
though.
there?
Mindful blerd,
My
nigga. We
mindful
all around
blerd.
the world. Hey, but you know what's crazy though? Nigga, we just made a parallel to motherfucking Ghetto to Cam Newton, nigga. We need nigga. We are in our
Oh.
bag, nigga. Because who the fuck is doing that, nigga? That's
Ah.
crazy, nigga. JJK is meta, nigga. Mindful Blerd is meta, nigga.
Mindful blur. Let's go, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, JJK
yeah,
to Cam Newton. That's facts. That's facts.
yeah. But
Yeah.
one thing I do want to talk about in JJK is the foil of, since we talked about capitalism today, I want to talk about the foil of, fuck, I forgot his name. Oh shit, that's crazy. The nigga with the tie. We all love him. The
Who?
nigga with the tie, and he got
Mahito?
the
No,
no, the nigga with the
the
tie, the
tie.
nigga who beat up, who got killed by Mahito. Yeah,
Nana man,
not
Nana man, Nani.
Nanaman. Is it Nanami? Hold on, is it not me? Fuck, why did I forget his name all of a sudden? This is crazy. Yo, they finna take my fucking my nerd badge, my blurred badge in the comments, bro. Is it Nanami?
Yo,
Nanami.
hold up.
Yeah, it's Nanami. It's not Kento Nanami. Yeah, yeah. So one of my favorite characters of JJK, since we're talking about capitalism, I think we were remiss not to mention Kento Nanami.
Nana
Yes, and
man.
also his, I don't know if many people know it. His foil or his opposite in the story, Mei Mei. You know,
Wait, what?
and yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me break this down for you. So Mei Mei is the the foil of Kento Nanami. Nanami, what does he do? He fucking hates capitalism. He hates the 9 to 5.
Oh,
You know what I
wow.
mean? He hates, you know what I mean? He's also like a advent protector of, the children. You know what I mean? The kids. He's like all about protecting the kids and the
Mhm.
Yuji, and he doesn't believe the system is good. I mean, they're literally child soldiers. This shit shouldn't be happening, right?
All
Um,
soldiers are child soldiers. I'm sorry, most soldiers are
yeah,
child soldiers, which is fucked. Anyways.
yeah. Um, so like one, I love this. You know what I mean? And immediately, like, I thought this was a great critique of like capitalism and like how how it erodes your life and how it exploits the young. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
flipping that onto Mei Mei, Mei Mei is all about profit. Profit, 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 profit. You know what I mean? That's her whole character. And she's so much about profit that she's willing to exploit and take advantage of the young by having her own little brother out in war. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Fuck.
using and willing to let him die so she can win a battle and get a check. You know what I mean? And this way they kind of parallel each other, but like opposites. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
In the sense of like, she's willing to do anything for money. And Nanami is like, I'm trying to protect the people. And Nanami ends up dying. And May May's still
Mhm.
alive. May May crooked ass still alive. And she's sleeping in bed with her damn brother doing some sus shit. I don't know what the fuck that was about, but it's crazy. You
Wow.
know what I mean? And she gets on the phone immediately and is like, move your stocks out of Japan. This shit gonna be crazy. You know what I mean? And it's like that's very capitalism minded,
Yeah.
shareholder minded. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is that insider trading that all our politicians are doing. Very
Mhm.
and together they make a very solid critique of capitalism. It exploits the young. You know what I mean? Look how evil these people who only care about profit, the profit motive. You know what I mean? I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful.
Wow, I
Yeah, yeah,
didn't even notice. Damn, that's cold.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
cold, Mamie.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, man. Yep. She ain't
yeah,
shit. That's funny as hell. You made me think about, the opening sequence to season 2,
yeah,
which was, like, the
yeah,
anime only sequence where she's riding with Urahime in the car.
yeah,
Like, they open it up and you see Urahime, who's a lot more like,
yeah,
uh, Geto, right? She
yeah,
energetically is Geto. She's hierarchical. She's telling it's such a beautiful scene, like, if you go back and watch it, like, it's, literally it's very subtle, but it's Urahime being like,
yeah,
"This is the case. These are things are happening. We gotta hurry up and get there. These are the most like, the people are in trouble, da, 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 da," and everything she says, Mimi has, like, a sort of matter of fact, experience of it, while Urahime says, "This is the most important thing," Mimi's like, "Yeah, nah." She's like, "Oh, we gotta hurry up and do this or something bad will happen," and Mimi is
yeah,
just like, "They wouldn't have sent it if we didn't have to hurry up and do it," essentially.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
if it wasn't pressed if we weren't and so you see these 2 sides of, like, both of them. The
yeah,
literal way for them to, it's like it preludes the whole series, but,
yeah.
the literal way for them to get out of that house is to run in opposite directions because 'cause they're polar opposites. Like, they
Yeah.
literally run in the opposite direction, and I think so
Mm,
much of what Mei involves is that sort of she's the path of Gojo without inclusion. Right?
mm,
She's the
yeah.
path of Gojo without community. If Gojo was just like, "I'm the
Mm,
strongest," and what I'm saying? If
yeah.
it wasn't about he she
That's a
'cause he
great fucking point. Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? And she knows
yeah,
she's about him too, and especially when he's a
yeah,
kid, she's like, "Oh, man, like, this what's up?" Like, they're
yeah,
very much, kind of that energy, and so I think it's really astute that fucking, like, her and Nanami I didn't even say and, like, he goes out of his way to, like, not curse Yuji, which I
yeah,
think is fucking beautiful, man.
yeah. He would do anything for that nigga, bro. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He stands on business, in terms of like his morals. And like in the same way that he stands on it, like Meme stands on exploiting the young, the youth. You know what I mean? And it's like it's crazy to see that scene where she's like willing to sacrifice her brother in that way. I just was like, damn, this is cold business. She really about that check, nigga.
I
And it's
know,
crazy. Niggas are standing the fuck out of her. I see so many fan cams from May Man. I'm like, nigga, you're not supposed to like her. You're
no,
supposed to
man.
hate her. Why does it
She's
always happen? I feel like the villain in the show, like people just end up like, oh my God, she's hot, or it's so cool. He's hot. You know what I mean?
I think it points to that relativistic aspect of like we still don't know who's the good guys here. We never fucking will, which I
Yeah.
think is really challenging because
Yeah.
um there's still real harm that people cause. You know what I'm saying? These
Yeah.
curses are
Yeah.
fucking shit up. Maybe
Yeah.
there's harm that's to be caused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um and I think one of the biggest challenges as a society, but just as a human, is like recognizing that I don't know if I'm doing the right thing
Yeah.
and not allowing that to inhibit you from taking action,
Yeah.
right? I'm taking
Mhm.
action because I think this is what's right now.
Yeah.
But that could change in 2 fucking seconds. But
Yeah.
I'm, like, staying true to my path right now because this is what I think is the move. But I don't know, and I think the not knowing of that opens
Yeah.
you up to sort of community with life. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Life shows up, right? When we know, that's when Toji rolls up. Toji's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you know what the fuck it is?
Ah,
Say
mink,
less."
mink, mink, mink,
You
mink.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
gotta get hit up. And so
Yeah.
if taking a stand, because I know people have a really tough time with, especially JJK. Like, people are like, "Yo," I remember I saw this tweet. This person was like, "How come nobody, like when Ghetto tells Gojo that um I'm gonna kill everybody who's not a curse user," and Gojo's
Yeah.
like, "That's impossible."
Yeah.
He didn't say that's fucked up, that's evil, that's terrible,
Yeah.
don't do that. Gojo's like, "That's
It's
impossible.
illogical. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
make no
Yeah.
sense. You can't do that." Like,
Yeah.
I think that points so much to the sort of psychology
Yeah.
um of what it takes to be a jujutsu sorcerer, because to be a jujutsu sorcerer, you can't be all over the place.
Yeah.
You have to be in this sort of neutral space, and
Yeah.
yet and still you have to be able to take action.
Yeah. Wow. When he said that there, why do you think Gojo said it's impossible and not it's that's a horrible thing to do? Do you think Gojo in his elevation is so removed from the everyday person? You know, he literally has infinity between him and everyone else. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I don't know. I think part of the reason why Gojo says it's impossible is just a natural manifestation of kind of, yeah, in a way, I think his consciousness is in a place to where, one way I think is really useful to think about Gojo, and I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but is think of Gojo like the universe is amoral,
Yeah.
right? The universe is fundamentally amoral.
Yeah.
We do that. The universe, destroys a planet every 10 seconds, whatever the fuck it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Supernovas don't have nothing to do with us. Gojo's sense of self is infinity. Like,
Mm,
his entire thing is that sort of holistic thing. And
mm,
so to him, like, that's just something else to do. Right? Like,
mm.
it's just another option. It is an option, which is what, we get with, when she sit down
Yeah.
sit down with him, she's like, "I mean, I guess you could do that."
Yeah.
And they all have a similar reaction, Shoko too, and I think it
Yeah.
points to, like I was saying, like, the sort of, in order to, like, deal with curses, just let's
Yeah.
just talk like life, right? In order for us to deal with the curses in our life,
Yeah.
we have to, what ends up happening is a kind of depolarization.
Yeah.
Because what becomes a curse is the sort of tension that's being held between what I think something should be and what something is,
Yeah.
right? That creates a polarized tension. This is the right way or this is the wrong way. In
Mm,
order for me to let go of my sort of mental, physical, emotional past trauma attachments, there has to be a release of my initial attached story and an openness into, I don't know. I
mm.
don't know. I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
If I, like most children do, attach to the other side and say, well, I thought I had the right way, but now this is the right way, then I'm just in the same fucking predicament. And so,
Mm.
like, a state of sort of Buddhist non attachment, right? When
Yeah.
I'm non attached, that creates a sort of freedom and an equanimity of, I have a spike in my self righteousness. Say that shows up.
Yeah.
If I let go of that spike, right? Actually, I don't know what the fuck this person should be doing. That brings me
Yeah.
down to here. The challenge that we face, though, I think, is like that not turning us into a morally relativistic asshole. I think
Yeah.
for me, the morals come into play in that situation in um, what you decide to do, like from that state of neutrality.
Mm.
And Gojo's decision, right, from that neutral state is to be inclusive and to allow for change.
Mm.
I'm if I go in, dominate and kill the elders and tell everybody this,
Yeah.
do all these things, I'm taking away everybody's choice.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
immoral fucked up thing, right?
Yeah.
That creates a problem because now it's like, I mean, that's already he obviously learned in this arc the ramifications of trying to do everything. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
fucking do it all by
No,
yourself.
you
You
need
can't be
people. You
you
need
need
people.
people.
You need community, and I think he realized that if he were to kill all the elders, he would be perpetuating the same system that was already there. It's just like everybody trying to be the strongest, kill each other, kill each other. But he's like, nah, I'm gonna go talk to the kids, and we're gonna change this bottom up instead of top down. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I
And
think
I
that's
think that's
why
a yeah,
I think that's kind of where a lot of them are coming from, and I think that's
yeah,
the sort of challenge that Gege writes for us is like, you know, I'm gonna leave you guessing who the good one is here, because I mean, Mahito is humans. Like, he's
yeah,
fucked up because we're fucked up.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, like, who's
He's
to
from
say that
our cursed energy. Yeah,
he's
yeah,
our shit? So, like, who's to
yeah,
say he's not like, I think a lot of those curses just end up being they're called, the disaster curses and shit, but, like, they end up being the sort of manifestations of our own sort of carelessness. And
mm,
unfortunately for us, it usually takes those curses
yeah,
stabbing us in the head, global fucking warming. It takes those curses fucking shit up in our lives before we actually create a change.
mm,
So who's to say waiting for the curse to do it is any different than trying to protect the people from the curses and doing whatever, which is why my girl, what's her name, who looked like
yeah. That's a profound point. I didn't think it from that. But what you continue, please?
oh no, what's her name?
Shoko,
No, the one
Ame. Oh,
who
the one
looks
who
like,
told Ghetto.
yeah.
Who sat down with her fine ass. Hold on.
Uh
I forgot her name
what's her
too.
type? What's your type? JJ, fuck. What's her name? What kind of woman is your type?
Her
Uh,
name is Yuki.
Yuki. I
Yeah,
think that's why Yuki is our sort of um the sort of our sort of moralistic high ground in
yeah,
the sense that she wants to create a world where curses aren't happening, right?
yeah,
Teaching people how to deal with their cursed energy,
yeah,
which is literally mindfulness, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
want I want to help all of y'all deal with that. I think that
yeah.
that is that's that if for my money, that's my move, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It teaching me, and I never looked at it like that, but like that's essentially what she's doing. Is teaching people mindfulness. You know what I mean? And like
Mhm.
there's a lot of Buddhist undertones of JJK, and you were even saying when I said the Geto said monkeys, you
Oh
said
yeah.
that's Buddhist. I want to give you the opportunity to expand on that because I was genuinely curious when you said that.
Oh, yeah, no, so, like, in Buddhism, there's, what is it? Like a metaphor or parable about, the ego,
Yeah.
and it's about the sort of how we form our ego, and
Hmm.
it starts off as a sort of there's a monkey that's in
Mm,
the jungle swinging through the trees, essentially, and at some point, the monkey blacks out and
mm,
then wakes up and starts to become aware that he's a monkey and that he's separate from everything. And then he
mm,
creates all these little identities and they tell the story in the form of like a house or, all the things that we create around us to create a sense of isolation and separation.
mm,
And this monkey goes on this journey through like all the sort of realms of our ego and like heaven and hell and the God realm. And all these things happen, but it's this sort of egoic journey when you're
yeah.
identified as this sort of thing that's separate from everything. It's like you're being this monkey. You're this monkey
Mm,
that's very much attached to these to your sort of physical identification. And so going
mm,
beyond that is going beyond your sort of rigid ego trips, right? Going beyond your
yeah.
identification with your emotions or your past or your bullshit or your thoughts. Like when you go beyond those things, you're going beyond being a monkey. And so the monkeys are people who can't deal with curse energy, right? If a curse,
Mm,
if I have a thought, whatever shows up, and I'm just being completely reactionary, I haven't put any thought into, I haven't made a choice. I'm literally just reacting to the
yeah.
programming that I picked up. I'm a monkey.
Yeah, I think that's actually really fucking I mean, as horrible as it sounds watching him say damn monkeys, I think that's a really good point, and I think that's a really good kind of metaphor or symbolism that, Gege put into the manga. Because I didn't know the Buddhist story behind it, but I was familiar with kind of like monkey brain, which is kind of like you're kind
Same
of
thing.
on autopilot. Yeah, same thing, right?
Hmm.
And I also thought it was profound in the way that Geto was calling these people monkey because of his hierarchical thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that's not the answer, bro. It's not the answer. Like, obviously, it's not the answer because racism, bro. Like, you sound like racist, but like to
Yeah.
humans, you know what I'm saying? But also kind of triggering as a black person here a monkey. But I'm like, damn, this Frieza.
Mhm.
Nah, but I
He's
think
like,
that
"Frieza." Yeah, for
you
real.
monkey. Um,
No, that nigga was just racist.
I thought it was just really interesting to the way that we've kind of woven this story together, like as we throughout this conversation, and it's really like helped me understand JK even better. You know what I mean? And
Same, man.
I think it's beautiful. And just to hop into spoilers territory, like I called this earlier on, just take a
Yeah.
sidestep stuff, but I knew from the beginning that because what we talked about, and also you helped me formulate these, make stronger opinions about what Gojo was, and he's like the idea of community. So like I knew at the end of the story I didn't know he was gonna have to give up his body, which is crazy. That was beautiful. But I knew that in order for them to beat the Sukuna or whatever, it was gonna take the combined effort of everyone. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
All the people, all of like now no one individual. Gojo in a way kind of like disperses his power and
Yes.
diversifies it to multiple people, right? And not
Mhm.
no and no one individual is all better than Gojo, but one person has the best reverse curse technique. Haram, what is his name? I forgot his name, but he gambles, and if he
Yeah,
hits
yeah, yeah.
the right gamble, he has like infinite reverse curse technique, better than motherfucking Gojo. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like everybody had their own little way of being better than Gojo or being on par with Gojo, and thus he's diversified. The next generation and took the power from one to all. You know what I mean? All is one, one is all. And then now,
Yeah.
obviously the scene we got to see motherfucking Nobara's back. She being the final piece to the puzzle. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
hitting the hammer on that Sukuna's finger, attacking his soul directly. And it took all of them to come together for that to even be possible. And I think that just really hits home. It's like the power is in us, y'all. The power is in us. Power is in the people. The power is in in diversifying or spreading out power, and that kind of like parallels to like politics and class, and
Yeah.
this revolution that will one day happen. It's like for time and time again we've seen so many like leftist organizations come up, but they're too centralized. In order for
Mhm.
us to change the world, we need to have more people become class conscious, understand their relation to and how they're being exploited in the world, and this is going to lead to class solidarity. And now you like Fred Hampton said, my favorite guy, his poster's back here on my wall. You can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill a revolution. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And when you spread it out
Mm.
like that in that way, it's unstoppable. You know what I mean?
Yo.
It's unstoppable. Yeah.
JoJo's
So
a living revolution. Holy shit, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
He gave all of them their shit, and he gave them
yeah.
a choice too.
He even gave
Oh,
his
man.
body. Nigga, he gave Yuta.
Yeah.
Yuta is in his body right now. You know what I'm saying? Which is like crazy when you think about it. You know what I mean? Like how did it's crazy. It's crazy, bro. It's awesome, bro.
Yo,
I love
how
it.
like, he legitimately, like I mean, he I love Gojo as a teacher because I could do, like, a whole, like, year about how he's
Yeah.
the perfect teacher for
Yeah.
who needs him to be taught. Like, he teaches everybody the way that they're best gonna reach it. Like,
Yeah.
Yuji, he's like, "Yo, like, this makes sense for Yuji," but he's gotta be really direct with Megumi. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
man, believe in yourself. What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's
For
like,
real, nigga.
he's
Believe in
like,
yourself, nigga.
"You're as strong as me. Like, understand this. I need you to hear me." And so
Yeah.
he's direct with him, or he's silly with I can't remember the blue hair girl who like wants to take a picture.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, come on." But
Yeah.
he's great at showing up how they need him to show up, which I think is a mark of a great teacher.
Yeah.
But really, like you said, man, fucking disseminating that power and will into that. And it's like you could take him out, but you can't take what we already,
Yeah, well,
yo,
it's
that's
already in
cold.
us, nigga. We unstoppable now, and that's what I want people to get to realize in terms of like class consciousness. It's like once we all wake up, it's a wrap, bro. It's going to
Yeah,
change. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's why I have so much hope, and that's why I'm so optimistic because there's way we have way more to gain, and also we have way more of the advantage if we just knew what we had at our disposal. And I think wrapping up the entire episode, coming back to connection,
Yeah.
getting rid of the hierarchical thinking, getting rid of the attachment to the identities, all coming down to this fine point of connection, you know what I mean, with one another. And yeah, I
Oh
look
yeah.
forward to the day that we, change this shit, bro.
Love that. What a great wrap up. Fucking
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Man, I love JJK even more, and thank you so much, Fo, for everything you said. Like, what are your thoughts on the episode, and how do you feel it went? And yeah,
Oh man, yeah, no, this was dope.
yeah,
I really loved. Um, I thought I love that you bring so much of what you bring to this
yeah,
because it's. I think it's so important to recognize that the sort of. I think we both kind of do this coming out of the way, but like
100%. Yeah, I was
the
gonna say I appreciate your perspective so much too, and because like it, they're connected. They really are
yeah,
connected,
it's
and
like
I
one
think
fucking thing.
I cannot express how grateful I am to have met you. Like, I don't even want to say that for like, that's not even for content, but like legitimately, these conversations are adding so much value to the media that I watch, but also my life, bro. And I appreciate
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Same. But also, I want to
yeah,
say, like, I think to bring it back home, I
yeah,
think I definitely suffer from a very Gojo like perspective, right?
yeah,
My mind is so kind of out and open and so massive and
yeah,
inclusive
yeah,
that I can forget about the details, the
yeah,
parts, bringing it home to, fucking community,
yeah,
family, life
yeah,
now. And
yeah,
so that's so much of what I think is I feel like it's such a grounding force for this thing. And so
yeah,
like everything it's I think it's a really good match
yeah,
of that, which of two sides of something that need to be said.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And they're both like equally as important. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like
it's not
getting lost for me, it's like I can get lost in the details, but like there's a
mhm,
bigger thing happening here too. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And it's like you help me look at the bigger picture in a way that like, damn, there's more to this, even into the tools to our freedom. You know what I mean? And yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
appreciate that a lot, man.
All right,
And
man. Fuck
shit.
yeah. And
Uh,
shit, and shit,
I appreciate you a lot and shit. You know what I'm
and
saying?
shit. Yeah,
Kind
you
of
know what I'm
soften it
saying.
up. But
Uh,
yeah, man. Thank you so much again, guys. Look out on our socials. We'll have all the clips. Mindful Blerd. We're on Spotify now, Mindful Blerd, but we're going to be on Apple and iTunes and anywhere you can get a podcast very soon. So look out for more content, y'all.
hell yeah. Good to see y'all. Be easy.
All right. Peace.
Bye.